Glad you could join us. Now, he was allegedly shot and killed by police at a pub in Agbogba in Accra last Sunday. On suspicion, he was a robber. 27-year-old Emmanuel Amofa was killed when police stormed a pub in the area to apprehend suspected armed robbers. The bartender and a friend of the 27-year-old who were also picked up on the day were subsequently released on bail. But family of the deceased maintain their relative is not a criminal. They want the police to admit they shot and killed the wrong target. Here's sister of the deceased, Naneke Amofa, speaking to my colleague, Komlado.
It's not easy. My dad has heart issue. My mom is not well, and it hasn't been easy. My dad keeps crying and he doesn't understand. He keeps looking at his picture and he goes like, "No, this can't happen to us." My mom is not even able to talk. She's not crying. She's not talking. My mom is traumatized. My mom is. Until I am trying to be strong. Who's going to replace my brother? It's not easy for my parents. My mom nearly collapsed the other day. It's not easy.
Now, parents of the 27-year-old are said to be traumatized by the incident, and we'll be telling you, you'll be hearing from the parents shortly. But in the meanwhile, let's deal with some other stories today on Joy News Today on your Joy News channel. And Joy News' Lateef Idris will stay a while longer away from work as a result of the latest diagnosis of his health by his doctors. For the next 30 days, he will be seeing a psychologist to enable him recover fully from the trauma and abuse suffered at the hands of some security personnel who brutalized him about a month ago. Lateef Idris has been absent from work for almost 1 month now after he was diagnosed with head fracture following beatings from the police. Speaking on the AM show earlier with Mama V. Osuabwaje, Chief Human Resource Officer of the Multimedia Group, Nana Mbro Eligba, said Lateef will require more time to resume work.
Lateef is still at home. He's not been able to work since the incident. What's happening is that he's been in and out of Korle Bu, running tests, and the doctor who's been seen to him has also referred him to one of their counselors, a psychologist, because he's deemed it very necessary for Lateef to receive that kind of treatment after all the trauma. The last counseling session will be on Tuesday. At the moment, he's been given 30 days off to recuperate, recover properly from all the trauma.
Meanwhile, Lateef, in a phone interview, told Mama V the incident has had a telling effect on his wife, who is heavily pregnant.
For the past 2 weeks, I must say, Korle Bu has become my second home, if you like, because I go to the hospital almost every day. And first off, I was asked to see a neurosurgeon. And so my first day at Korle Bu was to meet with a neurosurgeon. After examining me for like an hour, he prescribed some medications for me, and then I went home and asked that I come the following day. I went back, he examined me and suggested that we take another CT scan of my skull and my brain, because there's that fear. Once there is a fracture, it could also adversely impact on the brain. So I took that scan, and the result came out, I think, last week, Thursday or Tuesday. It got scarier than I had thought.
But Lateef, you're married. How's your wife taking all of these?
Yeah, for my wife, and in particular, it's not been easy because she's pregnant and almost due, and this happened, and so she got traumatized.
All the best to Latif. Get well soon. Now, let's move to another disturbing story. And she has been branded and cursed. Her husband has abandoned her, and to date, she remains stigmatized by her family after 3 of her 5 children developed varying forms of disabilities. That is the plight of 58-year-old Gladys Akong, a petty trader at Osu. In spite of all the hostilities around her, Gladys is boldly fighting the stigma to keep her children alive for a simple reason. They are a gift from God. Joy News' Beryl Ernestina Richter has more in the following report.
Meet Gladys, mother of 5 children. 3 of Gladys's children all have speech and hearing impairments. Her 4th child, Richard Lamptey, is 30 years. Richard's condition is the most serious. He suffers from epilepsy and cerebral palsy. When Richard was only 2 years old, he had convulsion which seriously affected his growth.
After 2 years, we more bad on.
After 2 years, he started having difficulties with his speech. When he had the convulsion, we all thought he had died. We even prepared a coffin for him, but he later gained consciousness.
Later than they hear.
Gladys considered herself fortunate because her husband was supportive initially, but that support ceased after a few years.
Their father has stopped catering for them. He now has children with other women. He barely checks up on them.
And
the last time he was here was 2 months ago, and he only gave us 100 cedis. We haven't heard from him since then.
Lawrence is Gladys's 5th child. He is 28 years old. When Lawrence was only 2 years, he started showing symptoms of epilepsy. He would shake, fall, and drool on his mouth. Doctors later confirmed to Gladys that her son had epilepsy. Gladys left the hospital devastated, having another child with epilepsy.
He was fine in his early days. I was therefore surprised when this happened. A pastor once told me that the medical conditions of my children are spiritual attacks. Lawrence was once a brilliant student, but had to stop school because of his condition. It affected his writing skills. I always question God why 3 of my children are suffering.
Consultant neurologist and head of Department of Medicine and Therapeutics at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Patrick Ejay explains cases of this nature could be linked to genetic abnormalities.
It's a family of 5 where the last 3 are affected. Causes of such thing, if you ask me, it would be genetic. It could be a pure single gene inheritance, or it could have occurred after the children were born, where they call de novo mutations after birth. But what we've got to realize, most genetic anomalies really have occurred after birth. They might not necessarily be that the parents might have it. They will have occurred after birth, where the growing child has de novo mutations that lead to the abnormal presentations that these patients.
People with conditions like that of Richard and Lawrence need frequent medical assessment and attention. But unfortunately, due to the lack of finance, Gladys is unable to access healthcare services for the 2.
Some years ago, I was asked to pay 200 cedis for Lawrence to undergo a scan, but he was unable to do so because I could not afford the money.
Doctors back.
Later, an NGO paid for the scan, but he had to continue with other therapies and treatments, which he could not do because I could not afford that too.
Another time.
Dr. Patrick Ejay also emphasizes the need for thorough medical examination and assessment of people with such cases.
Seizures that are not treated well also can lead to significant brain damage, and that can lead to developmental abnormalities. Very difficult to treat, but if these patients find themselves in hospitals, we can control really the seizures. Once you control the seizures, you can help reduce the brain dysfunction that occurs. I think, in effect, if the mother had continued her visits to the hospital and the doctors had continually prescribed her medication, I think it could have helped most of these children, really, rather than to have left them to have seizures unattended to.
As is typical in many societies, Gladys and her children have been stigmatized in a lot of ways. People find it strange that 3 of her children suffer one form of disability or another.
I am always ridiculed. I am now used to the insults. They are my children. I can't kill them.
My only
prayer is that they should die before I do, because if I die first, I don't think anybody else will take care of them like I do. Even my own relatives have neglected me.
The burden of a mother, the weight of motherhood, the need for love, and the outlook of better times ahead. That's the story of Gladys Akron. For Joy News, Beryl Ernestina Richter.
That is one to sit and think about. Now, moving on, the ruling New Patriotic Party, NPP, is set for its Regional Delegates Congress scheduled for tomorrow, April 1, at the Accra International Trade Fair Center. National Nasara coordinator of the New Patriotic Party, Abdul Kamal Dean, told Joy News security-wise, the party has put all measures in place to ensure an incident-free election process. He spoke on Joy News Desk with Mamavi Osu Abwaje. Now, again, a quick correction to that one. The date for the Congress is April 21.
We're going to use the police. We've written to the police already in the various regions. We've informed them about it. Our various regional chairmen who are now there have written, and adequate preparation has been put in place to ensure that nothing goes untoward. I am very sure that the police are much more involved in this process, and they are going to, if you like, do a very just job on that day.
So are there still outstanding issues even with those who are contesting tomorrow, who are expected to contest in the regional elections?
No, not to my knowledge. I'm being honest with you. We've got, you see, it's a process. And per the regulation which I did mention earlier on, we're supposed to have your forms, nomination form being being picked up, filled, and submitted. Then, of course, having submitted those forms, you're supposed to go through what we call vetting process. Now, having been vetted and cleared, then, of course, you do balloting. Having had the balloting, you go about campaigning and wait until the D-Day, which is tomorrow, that some regions are going to have.
So there are no disgruntled persons?
No. If we have anyone, it's going to come to my notice, and I'm going to mention that now. I'm well aware that some few regions, or 1 or 2 regions, had. Ashanti region, for instance, there's this youth organizer hopeful who I'm told was vetted out. Now, I'm told after painstaking job when he appealed, you know, basically they looked at it and said, well, he ought to be cleared because
so
what is still on of it. He's back again. There are other places where we have that, but as we speak now, we don't really have so much of that at hand.
You're still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Dazi. We'll take a few important messages here. When we come back, there's more news. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the issue of poverty in cocoa growing areas is the subject of Joy News' latest documentary, The Have-Nots. In the following story, my colleague Justice Bedu reports from the Western Region town of JJ Nkwanta on the anger of cocoa farmers who say their toil for the country is yet to reflect their level of development.
Emmanuel Oti is in her late 50s and has been farming cocoa here since 1987. He earns around 5,000 cedis a year from his cocoa harvest. From that, he struggles to put his 5 children through school.
Farmers dear, yeah, near Disika Ebra or minor, but a bino cross says CA. This is all your cocoa price, a war, a butcher. As for
cocoa farmers, we are the ones whose work fuel the country. But if you look at the amount that it is sold on the world market and the price that government gives us, then it's not fair. They use our money to pay government workers. I can say the government is cheating us.
Joshua Na is a cocoa buyer who works in JJ Nkwanta. He has been in this business for over 10 years.
Apart from say about 2 abano mo beba ha be campaign ye 2 abano no mudi nkuni wi a ye hu omo biom.
We are always complaining that people who are supposed to solve our problems only deceive us. We only produce the cocoa, but we can't do anything with it. Take the Cocoa Board Scholarship, for example. We only hear about it. Every year, they come and tell us, the farmers, to apply. But go around and ask all the farmers in this community. No one has ever benefited before.
Scholarship okay.
Getting cocoa ready for the export market is a tedious job requiring many hands and investment. But these men and women endure the back-breaking venture. I have come to one of the farms where harvesting is ongoing. Here I meet Ebenezer Tete, a third-generation cocoa farmer.
Baby be wa ese ka kokra kofa kuku ebia ne medie ya yetu agu hoi kra baby ayi free aye ko hata kuku yi so
it affects us a lot. There are places that are far from the market, and yet there are no roads. Look at where my farm is. We have to walk and carry the cocoa bags on our shoulders. Because the roads are bad, no car wants to come here.
JJ Nkwanta is one of hundreds, probably thousands of farming communities hidden in large swaths of cocoa farmland this side of Ghana. The history has it that then President J.J. Rawlings in the early 90s flew a helicopter to this village. Now, so popular was he and his government then that villagers here decided to name their community JJ Nkwanta. That probably is their only claim to fame, despite the huge amount of cocoa that moves out of this community almost on a daily basis. Poverty is what stares you every corner you go in this area. Just take a look at this primary school. It goes only up to primary 6. It's the only school in this community of about 1,000 people. Now, when children are done here, they will now have to make a 10-kilometer walk to the nearest community where they will then be able to access junior high school education. It's almost as if life is non-existent in JJ Nkwanta. as the benefits of the country's resources fail to trickle down to the people who produce the most of the wealth, inequalities would continue to fester. The people at the heart of this economic boom keep watching and waiting that someday, somehow, they would have a bite at the so-called national cake. Justice Baidu, Joy News, JJ Nkwanta.
He says he wants to live his life such that when he dies, he'll be remembered for the many lives he's impacted with his skills. His drive is born out of the hardship he experienced growing up as a poor child in a very remote part of the country. That is why 38-year-old fashion designer Osei Boateng has resolved to give skills training to the youth in his community who are interested in making clothes for a living. All they require is the availability. Even for those without accommodation, Osei Boateng houses them to ensure nothing hinders their desire to learn the art of sewing. Jifa Kege spent time with Osei Boateng and reports.
He's a kind man. He's a very quiet man. She work hardly.
Oyobi obua wonwa omunibi. Say omubeko omanim wa abrabom. Obi wanko schools, wanko school kra, ubetimi aba mana beboa wo.
Osei is the reason these young girls and boys are keeping hope alive for the future. Here at Ademan, there are many more of these lads who are idle. No education, no job. Most of them waste the day in very bad companies. The girls will often end up with unplanned pregnancies, while the boys engage in all manner of social vices. But Osei Boateng is determined to change the story of these youngsters. His approach is to teach them how to design dresses free of charge. His motivation is born out of his personal life experience as an orphan who struggled through life. He doesn't want others to experience the hardship he went through. These apprentices here say they are fortunate to have met Osei Boateng. Habiba Musa dropped out of school because her parents could not afford her school bills. But today, she is hopeful by the close of her apprenticeship with Osei Boateng, she will be financially independent.
Big opportunity. Who takes care of you?
Our boss.
What does he do?
Well, she feed us and she do everything we need.
Apart from the free training, Osei Boateng also provides accommodation for these young girls. He admits the situation has been very difficult and challenging for him, but he can't look on unconcerned. He had rather spend the little he has to ensure nothing prevents these girls from accessing the training he's offering them.
Nti o boa obi onni bi na ko fa obi onni bi na o de ne ba na o situa we ye de na se nye mwa na o de den o de boa nipa no so person o boa nipa de totally free.
The challenge does not in any way deter him from continuing his Samaritan gesture. Instead, he is spurred on to extend a helping hand to many more who are interested.
I imagine say maybe a school after teachers and kasa sa kola bi ba no ni mo kra na teacher be kire na de ankasa a school nkyire ansa ne de adepam no asa den aka no ho a ni nyina be totally free me wo botae bi say obi awo na say because of kola ni to ntumi nsua adwuma kra no a me be say me bi daycare center bi a wo ba wo do ba na ankasa so be den e be bantu sua de na wo ba no so ye den e sua adwuma to pon na wo kufia no afa wo ba ye den. Totally free.
A major challenge he is faced with is lack of a ready market. Every week, Mr. Osei Boateng takes the clothes he has designed to corporate organizations and some individuals for sale. The money he makes from the sale of these designs, he reinvests into the production process.
At the end of the day, scan kakra ma me de ye de ontia no bi na me de beto ahoma no bi na me bobo ano ana se eye ekwanim kakra na me de machine ni bi.
He is appealing for support to be able to help many more youth to reduce the rate of unemployment in the country.
The one year Pan African way neton. This year nyuma ku bi no mo pese omo be pam mo ne man so a anke ni be gi ho e bi se eno be boa me adwuma na tumi ayi den akosoro.
With many of the unskilled and unemployed youth engaging in activities such as prostitution, armed robbery, illegal mining, among others, the youth in Ademan have the opportunity to learn a skill free, courtesy Mr. Boateng, to better their lives. It will not be far-fetched that the future of the Ghanaian youth will be more promising if the country has a lot more Osei Boatengs scattered across. Jifa Kege, reporting for Joy News, Ademan, Ga-West District, Accra.
Now, following controversy surrounding Moesha Budong's interview with the CNN's Christiana Manpour, young women in Ghana are being empowered to create a better living for themselves. Glitz Africa has over the years taken keen interest in the empowerment of young women with their annual She Summit. Jacqueline Johnson-Quay has more in the following report.
Over the years, the roles of women worldwide seem to have changed. In Africa in particular, women empowerment has seen significant improvement. The narrative is changing from being relegated to housewives to top management roles, as well as national leadership positions. There is, however, a push for more women to be empowered, a necessary move for development, especially in Africa. The third annual Glitz Africa She Summit is looking to add to the advocacy as organizers lined up female achievers to share experiences and ideas, as well as encourage young women to strive for success. Television personality Belamundi and Vimbai Mutihiri from Nigeria spoke at the event.
I think we've come very far. The empowerment thing is going well, and I think that there's still a lot of room for improvement. But so far, I'm very proud of Ghanaian women. Our predecessors have done fantastic. They've paved the way for young ones like us to also fight for our rights and to achieve our dreams. And I like that more women are now stepping into their own space and creating and living their dreams. And so for me, I'll give Ghanaian women 100%. We're doing it and we'll get there.
You know, I think Africa has come a very long way. We don't give ourselves enough credit where it's due. If you look at our history, our great-great-great-grandmothers, they were traders, they were market women. We've always been enterprising as African women. So it's nothing new to us. We're business minded, and now with this new era, new generation, where we're trying to get our young girls to make sure that they also inherit the tradition of hard work and so forth. I think that there's certainly a lot more that we can do to boost the confidence of our young sisters, so that they realize that actually they have the power to empower themselves.
The summit is a build-up to Glitz Women of the Year Awards, an initiative that seeks to honor and promote successful women in various fields. Here is CEO of Glitz Africa, Claudia Lumo.
We want to make sure we're able to put women together to talk about business, to talk about setting up businesses, to inspire each other and give us, bring the experts and engage them and network with among ourselves as well. So I think it's the vision and the passion behind why we're doing this that keeps us going. So I would say the journey has been amazing on the basis that women are being inspired. The ladies are enjoying it, they are learning, they are curious, they want to know, they want to do better. So I think on that basis, we're very happy.
In the wake of what appears to be female group rivalry, like the Pepper Dem and Sugar Dem, as well as the Moesha CNN interview and the backlash which followed, former Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Nana Oyelitha, is calling for togetherness instead.
I mean, looking at Moesha, Amanpour, and the debates that have gone on, looking at Pepper Dem, looking at Pampa Dem, the debates. But at least now we're questioning and interrogating gender roles, which is very important. We need, and a few days ago, the data came out that across the world, globally, we have a lot of women in Ghana who own their own business. But then we have to give that a push. Women entrepreneurs, capacity, resources, financial and also other resources to help, because we know the data is there that if we help a woman, half our problems will be solved.
Jacqueline Johnson Quays reports for Joy News.